In this tutorial, we'll play with image push effect. I learned how to do this effect or technique from Mario De Meyer, so make sure you give him a follow on Instagram if you don't follow him yet. He posts a lot of really cool examples and experiments which you can learn a lot from. Now, all the examples you see on the screen were done with this push away technique of sorts and involve essentially pushing the image shader around the composition. If you want to take apart the examples I put together, you'll be able to do so with a project file on the Gumroad page. So let's get started and I will show you how you can build this whole thing by yourself. So in Cavalry, create the composition you want to use and import some assets. I have a number of images from Unsplash available and I will simply create an asset array from this group. You can easily drag and drop the assets on the composition as well, but I will build it in a way which will make it easier to resize the composition and export at different resolutions. So we have our asset array, then we need to search for image shader, and this layer will essentially use our assets to create images in our shape. Next, I will look for background shape, and background shape is a layer which will resize to fit our composition bounds. So if I change the composition dimensions, this background shape will easily resize to fit the new composition dimensions without a problem. In this case, I'm using a simple Full HD comp, and let's have a look what is going on. So you will notice that some edges are stretched to the side, and this is because our asset is essentially a vertical image, and we can change how it looks using the scale mode. So we've got a number of modes available, but essentially they are trying to fit this asset essentially in the image in the array to fit the width of our shape. I'm going to use fit cover, so it will essentially fit to cover entire background shape. Next, I need to create some sort of mask. I'm going to use a simple rectangle, but I'm going to use this rectangle as a track mat on the background shape. So let's see what is happening. Essentially, we have a mask we can move around and uncover part of the image. And this is the whole effect. We will duplicate this mask and the image itself and move them around to create this distortion effect. So let's rename our layers and then put everything together in a group. So we need a few things. As a next step, I'm going to put the image tile into a duplicator and set the duplicator to sort mode, grid is fine, and set the size mode to step. Then I'm going to duplicate this duplicator, and we will have one duplicator to control the entire folder and one duplicator to control the mask. So let's rename them as follows. The image mosaic will be our main duplicator, so change the color to green. And we will use it to drive all sorts of properties. So let's connect the image mosaic count property to the mask count property and do the same thing with the image mosaic size and drop it onto the size property. So the image mosaic will control the mask grid duplicator, the number of masks we have, and how far away they space from each other. So select your mask grid and remove the image tile from the input shape, and we need to use the mask itself. So let's turn off both of these layers off, and I'm going to turn on the mask. So to make this effect procedural, I want to be able to fit specific number of masks within our composition. So essentially, I want to calculate the mask width and height procedurally using the count number. And we can do this easily by adding two math nodes to width and height of our mask rectangle. And let's rename them to width and height, and press Command K to bring up the composition menu. Click this arrow so we can drag it around, and now we need to grab the width of our composition and drop it onto the width math node. I have both of them selected, and then grab the height and drop it onto the height property. Change both of them to divide, and we don't need this menu anymore. Let's pen them here, and then select the image mosaic duplicator, grab the count X and drop it onto the width, and count Y and drop it onto the height property. So essentially what we're doing right now is we are resizing our mask in a way that it will fit 3 times both on X and Y within our composition. Turn on the image mosaic, and as you can see, everything is piled on top of each other. But if we space them out a little bit, then our masks will fit within our composition. I want to control this property automatically using the, again, count number, and we can do this by simply adding the math node 2 to both of these fields, which will be useful in just a minute. Rename it as size adjust, and I want to grab the mask width, drop it onto the X, and mask height and drop it onto the Y. You can leave this as it is, we'll come back to it later. And let's turn off the mask from our image tile folder, and let's see what is going on. So essentially we have grid of images 3 by 3, and since I'm using the asset array, all of them are populated one at a time until they cover the whole grid. So let's check if everything's working correctly and change the number of images on both X and Y, and as you can see, everything is really responsive to our changes. Perfect. I'm going to turn off the auto index on my asset array, so then I can specify which image to use. So now we need to tackle one thing, which is essentially we need to reposition all of these images in a way that they will form our original shader. So go to your image shader, and we need to look at the offset property. So this offset property lets us move the asset in the image shader using X and Y, and we need to do this for every single tile we just made. We can do this with, for example, an array, but if you change the number of copies, then you have to update the array, and that's a little bit difficult to maintain with a lot of copies. So there's a better way to do this. Let's first add math2 node here and look for something called getSubmeshTransform utility. So this utility will allow us to grab the position, rotation, and scale value from a specific mesh using the submesh index. So grab the mask grid, drop it into the input shape, and as you can see, numbers got updated on the position. And if I move them around, they will essentially tell me where every single mask is located. And this is what we want to offset our image shader. So what we need to do is essentially grab all the index values from our mask. And I mean, we need to grab these values because duplicators make X amount of shapes, and every single copy will have a signed index value, which is this number over here. So to do this, we simply need to use index context property. And finally, select your math node, grab the position data and drop it into the first field. So as you can see, things got pushed around. So things are working, but they are not ordered in the way we want. So for some reason, the fix for this is to essentially reverse the distribution of our mask grid. And now we are back to our original image. So let me rename some of the layers first, so we know what is going on, and let me explain this better with the dependency graph. So this is our scene essentially in the dependency graph. It's a little bit complex, but this is our array, this is the image shader, and we have two of our duplicators here. All of these lines are essentially connections between different layers, and this looks a little bit confusing because we are essentially using the different values to control each other. So the index context layer, this one over here, grabs the index context data from a duplicator. So in this case, mask grid is plugged into the getSummerTransform layer, and this index context layer essentially is using this data. So what happens is it's plugged into this layer, so it searches for the first layer that produces the index context, and then it returns to our getSubmesh_transform layer. And this is how we get different submesh indexes populated automatically, which will simply change the values that the position property gives us. So back into our scene, what we have now is our rebuilt image, and now we need to push every single tire around from a single point. And we can easily do this with the position property on our background shape. As you can see, when I move it around, entire image moves. So we need to be more localized, and we can do this by using something called getVector property. Essentially, what I want to do is have a single point which will allow me to push some of these tiles away with different strength based on the proximity to a single point. So the getVector layer will let me do this, and we need a target for it. So let's look for a null, and I will make sure it's not parented to anything. Select the getVector layer, then drop the null into the target property. So right now, this layer essentially normalizes all this data. What this means is it converts all the position data of the null versus the position of the tiles to a value between 0 and 1. When I turn this off, everything gets pushed away except the layer in the middle. So we can try and lower the strength of this modifier to have this sort of effect going on. So when I move it around, we get this double mirror effect of sorts, which could be interesting. But what I want to do is turn on normalize option and then increase the strength property to something like maybe 2000 and see what is going on. And we've got this effect of layers being pushed away, more localized to only proximity of this null. So let's increase this property to something like maybe 5000. So as you can see, this is more prominent, it's more aggressive the closer the tile is to the null itself. And this will be easier to see if I increase number of copies to maybe 5 by 5. And now when I move this guy around, all the layers are being offset, as in the examples I showed you earlier. So there's one thing I want to fix. You might notice there is a small gap between some of the tiles, and we can easily adjust this with the first math node we created. And essentially, we want to push some of these tiles closer to each other. And we can do this with the size adjust node by subtracting, for example, 2 pixels. So this will ensure that any gaps are definitely overlapping. But now my image is slightly smaller than the composition, so I can simply scale it on the duplicator scale level to maybe 0.05, and the whole thing is filling the entire comp edge to edge. So let's animate this. You can animate this by hand with the keyframes, but I'm going to use behavior noise to demonstrate a small problem. So let's look at the noise. I'm going to connect minimum to max and simply invert this value with an expression. And maybe let's type in something like 600 and see what is going on. So we've got layers moving around everywhere, even on the outer edges. The reason for this is that the noise layer is using the position context data to further move the layers around, the masks and images layer over here. We don't want that, so we can turn this off. And this is much better, but the layers don't move in a unison. They're kind of moving with slight delay. And I want to fix that. And this is because we've got the stagger cranked up. So if I remove it, then you will see that everything is more responsive to this null only. There's no some random movements going on in the corners. And this is pretty much entire effect. And the best part is that we build this in a very procedural way. So I can easily render this with different images by just changing the index order. And if my image is taller, then like portion of it will be cut off. But we have this extra math node called offset adjust, and we can easily subtract some values a little bit. And now we've got the face of a singer dead center in a composition. There's quite a lot you can do with this method, and I'll encourage you to experiment. And if you want to play with the examples that you can see on the screen, you'll be able to do so from the Gumroad store with the link below. Thanks for watching.